The door that was never meant to open. I learned the truth about my neighbor on the night I almost froze to death. That's not an exaggeration. It was late January, the kind of winter night where the cold feels personal, like it has a grudge against you. The wind cut through my coat as if it were paper, and the streetlights flickered like they were tired of trying. I remember thinking very calmly, which scared me later, that if I stopped walking for even a minute, I might not start again. I had nowhere to go. 2 hours earlier, I still believed my life was ordinary. Not happy, not tragic. Just normal. I had a small apartment, a job that paid enough to keep the lights on, and a routine so predictable I could follow it half asleep. I thought that was safety. I was wrong. The eviction notice had been taped to my door when I came home from work. Bright orange. Impossible to miss. My name printed neatly at the top, as if the universe wanted to be polite while pulling the ground out from under me. 3 months behind on rent. I stood there staring at it, reading the same lines over and over, waiting for them to change. Waiting for it to be a mistake. Waiting for someone to come out and say, "Sorry, wrong door." No one did. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just went inside, sat on the edge of my bed, and felt something heavy settle into my chest. Quiet kind of panic. The dangerous kind. By midnight, I had packed a backpack with clothes, my laptop, and the photo of my mother I kept hidden in a drawer. By 1 in the morning, I locked the door behind me, slid the key under the mat like I'd been taught as a child, and walked away. That's how I ended up wandering my own street like a stranger. Breath fogging in the air, fingers numb, pride doing its best to kill me. And that's when I noticed the light. It was coming from the basement window of the old house at the end of the block. Everyone avoided that house. It belonged to Mr. Calder. Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that touch the heart and remind us of life's quiet miracles, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It truly helps our little storytelling family grow. At least that's what the mailbox said. No first name. Just Calder. He'd lived there longer than anyone else, maybe longer than the street itself. He never waved, never joined neighborhood meetings, never complained. He moved like a shadow, quiet, careful, almost apologetic for existing. People had theories. Some said he was rich and hiding it. Others said he was dangerous. A few whispered about prison, about things better left alone. I'd never spoken to him beyond a stiff nod once years ago. But that night, his basement light was on. I told myself I was just passing by. I told myself I was looking for warmth, not help. I told myself a lot of things. My feet carried me closer anyway. The house smelled faintly of wood smoke and something warm, bread maybe. I hadn't eaten since noon. My stomach twisted, reminding me how fragile dignity really is. I stood there for a full minute staring at the door. Knocking felt like crossing a line I couldn't uncross. Finally, my knuckles touched the wood. The door opened almost immediately. Mr. Calder stood there in a thick sweater, silver hair combed neatly back, eyes sharp but not unkind. He looked at me, then at the street behind me, then back at my face. "You're freezing," he said. "Not who are you? Not what do you want? Just that." I tried to speak. My throat closed. He stepped aside without another word. I hesitated. Then the cold made the decision for me. Inside, the house was nothing like I expected. No dust. No darkness. Lamps glowed softly, casting warm pools of light across wooden floors. Bookshelves lined the walls, real books worn and loved. A kettle whistled faintly from the kitchen. He took my coat gently, like it might tear if he moved too fast. "Sit," he said, pointing to a chair near the radiator. I sank into it, warmth biting painfully into my legs as circulation returned. My hands shook uncontrollably, embarrassment burning hotter than the cold ever had. He handed me a mug of something sweet and hot. "Drink slowly," he said. "You don't want to shock your system. You know that." He paused just for a second, then shrugged. "Life teaches you things." We sat in silence while I drank. The warmth spread through me, and with it came exhaustion. The kind that makes you feel like a house with all the lights turned off at once. Thank you, I finally whispered. You're welcome, he said. You can sleep on the couch tonight. I blinked. I can't. You can, he said calmly. And you will. There was no pity in his voice. No charity. Just certainty. That night, wrapped in a blanket that smelled like laundry soap and something familiar, I slept deeper than I had in months. I woke to the sound of quiet movement. Sunlight filtered through the curtains, pale and hesitant. For a moment, I didn't remember where I was and panic flared. Then I smelled coffee. Mr. Calder sat at the table, reading a newspaper like it was another era. You snore, he said without looking up. My face burned. Sorry. Don't be, he replied. It means you're alive. He slid a plate toward me, toast, eggs, fruit. Real food. Not a question. Not an offer. I ate like someone who hadn't realized how hungry they were. You can stay a few days, he said. Figure things out. I nodded, swallowing past a lump in my throat. I'll pay you back. He folded the newspaper carefully. No. I insist. No, he repeated. You won't. I opened my mouth to argue, then closed it. Something in his eyes told me this was not a negotiation. Days turned into weeks. I slept on the couch. I cleaned. I helped with groceries. I kept my presence small, like a guest afraid of overstaying. Mr. Calder never commented, never rushed me, never asked questions. But I noticed things. The locked door in the hallway he never opened. The scars on his hands, old, deliberate. The way he listened when the news talked about disasters, about missing people, about forgotten places. One evening, I found a photograph on a shelf I'd never dusted before. It showed a much younger Mr. Calder, standing with a group of children. They were smiling, holding books. Behind them a sign read, Safe Haven, Community Learning Center. My heart thudded. Who were they? I asked softly when he came in. He looked at the photo for a long time. My life, he said quietly. That was the night the door in the hallway opened, and the hidden life I never imagined began to reveal itself. The room of names. The door had been locked for as long as I'd known the house. It sat at the end of the narrow hallway, painted the same off-white as the walls, unremarkable except for the way Mr. Calder never walked past it without slowing, just slightly, like a man passing a grave. When he opened it that night, he didn't look at me. Come, he said. His voice wasn't stern. It wasn't warm either. It sounded settled, like a decision made long ago and finally accepted. The room beyond the door was small but impossibly full, not with furniture, with memory. The walls were covered, every inch of them, with names. Some were written neatly in black ink. Others were scrawled in pencil, faded with time. A few were etched directly into the wood, letters carved by hands that must have been shaking. There were dates beside many of them, short notes beside others. Found safe, reunited, gone too soon. My breath caught. What is this? I whispered. Mr. Calder reached for the light switch, hesitated, then turned it on fully. The room brightened and the scale of it hit me all at once. Hundreds of names. No, he said quietly. Who is this? He stepped aside so I could see the far wall. There were photographs there too, children mostly. Teenagers. A few adults. Faces smiling, scared, hopeful, defiant. Some photos were official school pictures, ID cards. Others looked like they'd been taken quickly, badly lit. Hands visible at the edges of the frame. These are the people who passed through my life, he said. Some stayed. Some left. Some disappeared. I turned to him, my heart pounding. You ran the safe haven? Yes. I remembered the photograph. The sign. The children holding books. It was never meant to be permanent, he continued. Just a place to rest. To learn. To breathe. I traced a finger near one of the names without touching it. From what? From everything. he replied. He pulled out a chair and sat, suddenly looking older than I'd ever seen him. I was a teacher once. History. I believed knowledge could fix broken systems. He let out a dry breath. It can't, but it can save people. The story came out slowly, like something heavy being lowered instead of dropped. The safe haven had started small. A few kids who didn't fit anywhere else. Runaways. Foster children who aged out with nowhere to go. Teenagers escaping violence no one wanted to acknowledge. I taught them how to read contracts, how to cook, how to open a bank account, how to disappear if they needed to. My stomach twisted. Disappear. Sometimes, he said gently, being found is the danger. I thought of the eviction notice, of how quickly a life could unravel when paperwork turned against you. Why did it close? I asked. His jaw tightened. Because kindness without permission is illegal, he said flatly. Because the wrong people noticed. Because I wouldn't turn anyone away. The room felt colder. They said I was harboring runaways, encouraging truancy, undermining authority. He smiled without humor. They were right. Authority was failing these children. I noticed a cluster of names grouped together, dates overlapping. What happened to them? I asked. He stood and walked over, resting his palm against the wall. Fire, he said. Electrical. Officially. My chest tightened. Unofficially. Someone wanted to send a message. I swallowed hard. Did anyone? Everyone inside survived, he said quickly. I made sure. Relief hit me so suddenly my knees weakened. But the haven didn't, he added. And I learned something important. I looked at him. You can save people quietly, he said. Or you can save structures loudly. You can't do both. After that, he explained, he became invisible. No center. No sign. Just one person at a time. A couch. A meal. A few weeks of safety. Like me. The realization hit harder than the cold ever had. You do this still, I said. Yes. How many? I asked. He glanced at the walls. I stopped counting. I thought about the rumors. The fear. The way people avoided his house. They think you're dangerous, I said softly. He nodded. That keeps the dangerous ones away. That night I couldn't sleep. The names followed me into the dark. Each one a reminder that survival often happens in rooms no one sees. That hope doesn't announce itself. It whispers. In the days that followed, I noticed changes. A knock at the door late one evening. Mr. Calder answering it without surprise. A teenage girl stepping inside, eyes darting, backpack clutched tight. She'll take the bedroom, he told me quietly. Just for a bit. Her name was Lila. She barely spoke. Ate like someone afraid the food might vanish if she looked away. She slept with the light on. I gave her my blanket. Another time it was a man in his 40s. Hands shaking. Fresh bruises, he said, were from a fall. Mr. Calder didn't ask questions. Neither did I. We became a system. Unspoken, efficient. I cooked. I listened. I stayed awake when someone couldn't sleep. I learned when to talk and when silence was the gift. One afternoon, while sorting donations in the basement, I found a stack of letters tied with twine. They were thank you notes. Some were clumsy, misspelled, written by children. Some were formal, written by adults who'd learned how to survive. One caught my eye. You didn't save me, it read. You reminded me I was worth saving. I sat on the basement steps and cried until my chest hurt. That evening, Mr. Calder sat across from me at the table. You're different, he said. I laughed weakly. That's one word for it. No, he said. I mean, you see it now. The cracks. The invisible ones. I nodded. I don't think I can unsee them. Good, he said. Then I need to ask you something. My heart skipped. What? He hesitated. Truly hesitated. For the first time since I'd known him. I'm getting tired, he admitted. And there will always be people knocking. The meaning settled slowly, heavily. You want me to help, I said. I want you to choose, he corrected gently. I thought about my old apartment, my old life, the illusion of safety I'd clung to until it vanished. I already did, I said. He smiled then. Not wide, but real. Weeks later, a letter arrived addressed to me. Not a bill, not a notice, a job offer. Full-time, stable, enough to rebuild. I stared at it, heart racing. That night, I showed it to Mr. Calder. You should take it, he said immediately. But you can help and live, he said firmly. The world teaches people they must choose one. He was right. On my first day at the new job, I came home to find the house quiet. Too quiet. The hallway door was open. Inside the room of names, a new space had been cleared. Empty. Waiting. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with winter. Because hope I was learning always asks something in return. The ones who knock after midnight. The knock came at 12:47 a.m. Not loud. Not frantic. 3 steady taps. The kind that says the person on the other side already knows the door will open. I froze in my bed, staring at the ceiling as if it might answer for me. Mr. Calder had gone to sleep early that night, earlier than usual. He'd looked pale at dinner, hands trembling slightly as he lifted his cup. I'm getting tired, he'd said. The words came back to me now with weight. The knock came again. 3 taps. Patient. I pulled on a sweater and stepped into the hallway. The house felt different at night, smaller, closer, like it was holding its breath. Mr. Calder was already at the door. He moved slowly but with certainty. No fear. No hesitation. When he opened it, cold air rushed in, carrying with it the smell of rain and something metallic. A man stood on the porch. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed too neatly for the hour. His hair was dark, his face clean-shaven, his expression polite in a way that never reached his eyes. Mr. Calder, he said. May I come in? Mr. Calder didn't answer right away. I stood a few steps back, heart pounding, suddenly aware of how unprepared I was for whatever this was. Who are you? Mr. Calder asked calmly. The man smiled. A concerned citizen. Mr. Calder's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. No, he said. You're not. The smile remained. You've been busy again. I felt my stomach drop. The man's eyes flicked past Mr. Calder, landed on me. They lingered, assessing. And you've got help now, he added. How nice. Leave, Mr. Calder said. The man sighed, like someone disappointed by a predictable outcome. You know I can't do that. Rain began to fall harder, drumming softly against the porch roof. The street behind him was empty, the darkness swallowing the edges of the light. We've received reports, the man continued, voice smooth. Unregistered occupants. Possible harboring. Safety concerns. From whom? Mr. Calder asked. People who worry, the man replied. People who notice patterns. I thought of the neighbors, the glances, the rumors. I worry too, Mr. Calder said, about what happens to people when no one answers their knock. The man chuckled softly. Always the moralist. His gaze shifted to me again. You should be careful, he said. This sort of thing can follow you. I felt anger spark, sharp and sudden. So can indifference. The man raised an eyebrow, surprised. Mr. Calder placed a hand on my arm, not to stop me, but to steady me. You've come late, he said to the man, and without cause. For now, the man agreed. This is a courtesy visit. He reached into his coat and pulled out a card, placing it gently on the small table by the door. Be mindful, he said. Midnight knocks rarely stop at just one. Then he stepped back into the rain and disappeared into the dark. Mr. Calder closed the door and leaned against it, exhaling slowly. Who was that? I asked. Someone who believes order matters more than people, he replied. They always show up eventually. My hands were shaking. What do we do? He straightened, squaring his shoulders. What we've always done. Carefully. Quietly. Sleep didn't come easily after that. The next few weeks felt like living under glass. Every sound made me flinch. Every unfamiliar car slowed my breath. We changed routines. Lights off earlier. Curtains drawn tighter. Still the knocks came. Not always at midnight. Sometimes at dawn. Sometimes just before dinner. Inside, Mr. Calder was sitting at the table, hands folded. They came earlier, he said quietly. What did they want? I asked, barely able to speak. Information, he replied. They didn't get any. That night, he showed me a box I hadn't seen before. Inside were documents, old permits, letters, court filings, evidence of battles fought and lost and fought again. I've lived like this before, he said. But you shouldn't have to. I shook my head. I choose this. He studied me, eyes heavy. Then you need to understand the cost. The cost came sooner than I expected. Lila, the quiet girl who slept with the light on, didn't come home one night. Her bed was untouched. Her bag gone. Panic clawed through me. Did she say anything? Mr. Calder's face was unreadable. No. We waited. An hour. 2. At 3 in the morning a message came. I'm sorry. They found me. Don't look. My hands went numb. They. I whispered. Mr. Calder closed his eyes. Her family. Is she alive? He said quickly. But not safe. The weight of helplessness crushed me. We failed her. No, he said firmly. We gave her time. Sometimes that's all we can do. The next day, I quit my job early and walked the streets until my feet ached. I watched people hurry past one another. Eyes down, lives colliding without touching. How many were one knock away from falling apart? That night another knock came. This time it was different. 2 taps. Then a pause. Then one more. Mr. Calder looked at me. If this goes wrong. It won't, I said, though fear buzzed through me like electricity. He opened the door. 2 uniformed officers stood there. My heart slammed against my ribs. Mr. Calder, one said, we need to ask you some questions. Of course, he replied calmly. Come in. They stepped inside, eyes scanning the room. Are you alone? The second officer asked. Mr. Calder met his gaze. No. I stepped forward. The questions were careful, polite, about visitors, about noise, about safety. Mr. Calder answered with precision, truth without excess. Then one officer glanced down the hallway. What's back there? He asked. The past, Mr. Calder replied. The officer studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right. When they left, my knees gave out and I sank into a chair. They know, I said. Yes, Mr. Calder replied. But knowing isn't always the same as acting. I looked at the empty couch, at the cleared space in the room of names. How long can we keep this up? I asked. He sat beside me. Long enough, he said. Long enough to matter. That night I added a name to the wall for the first time. Lila's. With no date. Just a single word beside it. Waiting. Because hope, I was learning, is not a feeling. It's a decision you make again. Every time someone knocks. The weight of carrying light. Hope is heavier than despair. I didn't understand that at first. Despair sinks you fast, drags you down until you stop struggling. But hope? Hope asks you to stand up every morning and believe your effort matters. Even when evidence says it doesn't. I felt the weight of it most in Mr. Calder's hands. They shook more now. Not constantly, but often enough that I noticed. When he lifted a cup. When he tied his shoes. When he paused in the hallway before the room of names. You should rest, I told him one afternoon. He smiled gently. I rest when the door stays closed. The door rarely stayed closed. The visits increased. People came thinner, quieter, more desperate. Word traveled in whispers about a house at the end of the block where no one asked for proof. We adjusted again. Staggered arrivals. Shorter stays. More referrals, fewer beds. Still the strain showed. One evening, I found Mr. Calder sitting at the kitchen table, staring at a piece of paper like it had personally offended him. "What is it?" I asked. He slid it toward me. "A notice. Formal. Official." I didn't need to read every word to understand. "Cease and desist," I whispered. "Yes," he said. "They've decided courtesy has run its course." My chest tightened. "What happens if we don't?" "They escalate," he replied calmly. "Fines. Charges. Public attention." The thing he'd spent a lifetime avoiding. "We can fight," I said quickly. "We can get a lawyer. Media." "No," he interrupted softly. "Light is useful. Spotlight is deadly." Silence filled the kitchen. "I won't stop," I said. "I know," he replied. "That's what worries me." The next few weeks were a lesson in quiet endings. Mr. Calder began organizing, labeling folders, sorting documents, writing letters he didn't send. He taught me things I hadn't realized I was learning. Where to find emergency shelters that wouldn't report. How to spot someone pretending to be fine. How to listen for what isn't said. "This isn't about saving everyone," he reminded me. "It's about not becoming numb." Then one morning he didn't come down for breakfast. I found him sitting on the edge of his bed, pale, breathing shallow. "I'm fine," he said before I could speak. "You're not," I replied, reaching for my phone. "No hospitals," he said sharply. Then softer. "Please." He squeezed my fingers weakly. Then he slept. He didn't wake up. The funeral was small. Quiet. No speeches. No headlines. Just people. People I recognized. People whose names were on the walls. They came one by one, standing beside me, offering nods instead of words. Afterward, I returned to the house alone. The silence was unbearable. I walked into the room of names. On the far wall, a space remained. I wrote his name. Below it, I added, "He opened the door." Then I sat on the floor and let the grief come, because hope had cost him everything. And now it was asking something of me. The quiet continuation. The house felt hollow after Mr. Calder died. Not empty, hollow. Like a shell that still remembered the shape of what once lived inside it. For 3 days I didn't open the door. I let the phone ring. I let the world wait. I slept on the couch, wrapped in the same blanket that had once saved me from freezing. Grief moved through the rooms like fog, settling into corners, clinging to the walls. On the 4th day, I opened the curtains. Sunlight spilled in, dust motes dancing like they hadn't gotten the memo that something sacred was gone. I stood in the hallway, staring at the room of names. Mr. Calder had once told me, "You can save people quietly." I understood now that quiet didn't mean small. It meant patient. The house would be taken eventually. That was inevitable. Papers were already in motion. Systems don't pause for mourning. But people still knocked. The first was a boy no older than 16. Thin jacket. Red hands. Eyes that kept darting behind him. I opened the door. Is he here?" he asked. I swallowed. "No." His shoulders fell. "Oh, but you are," I said. "Come in." That was how it began again. Not as a place but as a practice. I didn't keep everyone. I couldn't. Instead, I listened. I connected. I walked people to buses, to shelters, to hospitals. I sat with them while they made calls they were afraid to make. Sometimes I just let them warm up. I stopped writing names on the walls. Instead, I carried them. 30 days later, the officials returned. This time I was ready. I handed over the keys without resistance. They were surprised. "You're not going to fight?" one asked. I shook my head. No. They didn't understand that the house was never the point. I moved into a small studio across town. Nothing special. Just enough. But I left the porch light on. Always. The knocks still came. Not as many. Not as often. But enough. One evening months later, a familiar face stood at my door. Lila. She looked older. Stronger. Tired in a way that meant she'd survived. For a long moment we just stared at each other. You waited, she said quietly. Yes, I replied. She hugged me hard, like someone who knew exactly how fragile hope could be. Before she left, she pressed something into my hand. A marker. I think it belongs with you, she said. That night I wrote a single sentence on my wall. You matter. Someone will open the door. I don't know how long I'll do this. Maybe years. Maybe only a while. But I know this. Hope doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't always win. Sometimes it's just a door opening on a cold night. And sometimes that's enough to save a life.